You may have seen our latest vlog where we went to every single quad cities in the area, and it was really, really cool. And if you haven't seen that video, check it out right here. But if you have, I was thinking maybe some of these people watching don't know exactly where I'm at. So I thought, let's hop into the map, show you exactly where I was, what I was talking about, and maybe even give you some highlights of things that I didn't even talk about in that video. And that's what we're gonna do today. So let's hop into the map and show you every place that I went, as well as things that I may not have talked about in that video. So let's get started. All right, like I said, we went to every single quad cities, and you don't have to watch the first video to watch this one. You can watch them both. You can watch neither of them, I don't care, but it's gonna be helpful for you if you're moving here. And in that first video, we started our vlog tour out actually at a car wash. But after the car wash, we went to Rock Island. And where did we go to Rock Island? We went to the downtown. And if you look at the map here, we went to this area right here. If I can zoom on in. This is the downtown area highlighted in yellow here. This is what they used to call the district, and they are refurbishing this whole area right along these streets here. And I don't know if they're gonna be continuing to call it the district, but that is where all of that construction, there was some B-roll of this street being under construction. This one, we parked along this street, and then we even talked about the QC Pancake House. But if you're moving here, you really have to check out the QC Pancake House because it is one of my favorite places to go of all time, breakfast wise or not, but plan to be there ahead of time because there is always a line. I don't know how they do it. There's always a line. They've expanded, they got more popular, so they have a line again. But either way, it's worth the wait. But this is all of the downtown Rock Island area. A lot of businesses down there. A lot of the governmental buildings are down there. It is where you come across, if you were coming across Centennial Bridge, which is right here. So a lot of stuff going on and a lot of revitalization, which I talked about a lot in that video. There's been a big push to revitalize Rock Island. I know a lot of people are excited to see that, and they're excited to see where it goes. But when we left downtown Rock Island, we actually went up 17th Street and went through the Broadway District. Now, the Broadway District is really well known for its historical homes, its architecture, and that may or may not have gotten into the vlog, but it is one thing to note. It's kind of a cool area. It used to be historically very significant. If you know any of the story about John Looney, he was a gangster in the Quad Cities, specifically the Rock Island. He hung out in this area quite a bit. He was an inspiration for Al Capone, which is a lot more of a famous person when it comes to gangsters back in the 20s. But he got his inspiration right here in the Quad Cities, and it was all in this area, downtown Rock Island / the Broadway District. So something to think about when it comes to Rock Island. Really cool history in that area. And we keep on moving. We did talk about the hospital, and the hospital is located right here in this pink area. We parked in the parking lot and just kind of talked about my fiance's experience with living in Rock Island and what it's like to be there. And she worked at this hospital when she first moved here. She doesn't work there anymore, but she did, and she really enjoyed it. She lived in this area and absolutely loved walking around there, hanging out. And it's really cool to see that, but that is where we were when we are in that video. So not too far from the downtown area. Everything in Rock Island actually is fairly close, so something to think about. And if I turn on the satellite mode, the next thing that we really discussed, and it's pretty significant when you're talking about Rock Island, at least in recent history, is this giant open field here. Now this giant open field actually has a story behind it, specifically about progress within Rock Island. There was a huge push to get a Walmart into Rock Island, and this was the destination of where that was supposed to be. Now, for whatever reason, negotiations halted or fell apart with Walmart, and Walmart decided not to actually build in this location. I don't know the details, but you still hear about people talking about it all the time, that if Walmart would have been there, it really would have revitalized the area even more to have a main huge business there, because Rock Island itself doesn't have a lot of big businesses coming in to the area. They do have stuff close by, which like is Target, right on the Moline Rock Island border right there. So there is stuff close-ish, but not entirely Rock Island specific. So it was something that fell apart, and we did talk about it in that video, but something to keep in mind when we're talking about Rock Island, there is no actual Walmart. There's stuff close because everything in the Quad Cities, to be honest with you, is close. But one other thing that we did talk about a little bit was Blackhawk Forest, or at least showed you a little bit of that. I don't know if we actually stopped and talked about it, but this is where that forest is. A lot of hiking trails. In fact, that actually was possibly gonna be where I was gonna get married in. Ended up choosing a different location because they already booked, but regardless, beautiful, beautiful spot, especially this time of year in the fall. Highly recommend checking that out. But after we went to Rock Island, we actually headed over to Moline, and we talked about John Deere Road specifically in that video, and that connects Rock Island to Moline, so it kind of makes sense that we went that direction. But the thing that you need to know about John Deere Road is all of the different shopping and amenities all around John Deere Road. We specifically stopped at this Walmart, but there's a Lowe's there, there's car washes, there's restaurants, the Popeyes is there. When Popeyes came to town, it was a big deal. So I just remember that coming up, and that's all right here along John Deere Road. And it goes for quite some time. Like if you go back this direction, you have the mall over here, which honestly the mall is so-so. But the other shopping all along John Deere here goes all the way up to about this green line. And it's always growing in that sense. And the neighborhood that we went to was actually right here. If we zoom in a little bit, was right here. And then the John Deere headquarters is all of this green area, which is a huge employer for Moline. So it was obvious that we needed to stop there and talk to, and actually show what that looks like, because a lot of people from John Deere are watching this video because they move here all the time from all over the place, and we love you guys coming to the area. But that is the headquarters, and that neighborhood that we stopped in was right here by Blackhawk. But then we headed on over to the downtown area, and we like to stop in downtown areas all the time because they are really the hubs of the cities themselves, and Moline is really no exception for that. If we zoom in, we have the Vibrant Arena, or the Mark, which is an old time name for this arena. Since I've moved here, this arena has changed names I think 3 times, so it's constantly changing names. But the Vibrant Arena is the biggest hub event center in the Quad Cities. So they got concerts, they have rodeos, they have monster trucks, which I always mention. But regardless, they are in there all the time, making events happen. That's where the sports teams are. That's where everything goes on. The other thing that was down there is the John Deere Pavilion, which is kind of like a showcase for John Deere. They bring in their best tractors, they bring in everything John Deere related, and just really show it off. So that's another really cool thing when it comes to Moline, is you got the John Deere headquarters, John Deere Pavilion, and then obviously all of the John Deere manufacturing facilities as well. So that is Moline, that's where we went. It may seem like it's longer, but we only stop at 3 or 4 spots during the tours because it takes quite a long time to go from spot to spot, make the videos. In fact, it took us almost 2 days to do that. But I hope you appreciate that after we made that video. And if you are moving to the Quad Cities, this is probably a good time to mention that I am a licensed realtor here. I know every nook and cranny of the cities. So if you're moving here and you're like, I just don't really know where I should be living, well, hit me up. My number is popping up down below. I can help you figure out where it's best for you to move to, and I would love to be that person for you. But moving on, we went from Moline actually into Davenport, and we started our tour out in Davenport, down on the river. Of course, that's where we always go, but down on the river, located right here, really close to downtown. Downtown is basically the riverfront. We started in this green area, which is a park. It's called LeClaire Park. In that video, we talked about LeClaire Park. We talked about the River Bandits, which are located right here, and it's an absolutely gorgeous park. Highly recommend taking a look at that. But you are literally right next to downtown. All of this is downtown area. They have some of the best restaurants, some of the best bars. Shopping, so there are some good shopping places down there. A lot of boutiques. I don't really shop a lot of boutiques, so you're gonna have to ask somebody else about that because I just don't go to boutiques that much. But I do know there's some really good ones down there. But that wasn't the only place we went to when it comes to Davenport. We actually headed on up to Vanderveer Park, which is one of my favorite parks, and it's right up from downtown Davenport on Brady Street and Harrison Street. In case you don't know how those two work, is one of them heads out of downtown and one of them heads in. Brady's the one that heads out of downtown, and Harrison leads into downtown because they're one-way streets, both sides, and both of them cross Vanderveer. So it was a good place to go, beautiful place to go as well. So it's one place that I recommend if you're visiting or moving here to take a look at, because they are really, really good when it comes to that. And now this is where I get a little bit lost because I can't quite remember. We either went to the Prairie Heights neighborhood or we went to McClellan Heights. But I'm gonna show you McClellan Heights first. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in the area, and when you're looking at downtown, it's right over here in the village of East Davenport. It is all of this squiggly lines. It's very easy to get lost in, but highly recommend checking those out if you like historical homes. And the village of East Davenport is a phenomenal place to go to. They have baseball diamonds there, softball, well, I guess it's the same field. They have restaurants also. They have the boutiques as well, which I've been in a couple of those. But my favorite restaurant down there, only open during for lunch, is the Village Corner Deli. And that is located right on the corner, ironically enough, if I can zoom in. We are looking here, and it is right here, Village Corner Deli on 12th and Mound Street. So check them out if you are in the area and you want to try a great sandwich. Only open for lunches. But regardless, the next stop we made, we went up to the Prairie Heights area. And if we move in here, Prairie Heights Park and Prairie Heights neighborhood right up here. And this looks all blank, but there is plenty of housing up here. It's all brand new, which is one of the reasons we wanted to show that off, because it's a new neighborhood that a lot of people are wanting to either build in or buy in because of how new it is. This road here, Veterans Memorial Parkway, is brand new as well, and it's a parkway that gets you almost across the entire city of Davenport and into Bettendorf. So a lot of people really like that. The library that was shown there was also in that video and also located right here. So keep that in mind. But that was the finish of our Davenport tour, and the rest of our tour happened in Bettendorf. In Bettendorf, we started our tour out at the Family Museum / library. And the Family Museum / library is located basically in the center of the Bettendorf city. It's right here off of 18th Spruce Hills Drive. And Face Field is there. That's another park. We didn't really show that in the video, but it's right there. Great library. I love going there. In fact, we were there for the video, but we also were there making some stuff for our wedding because they have a great creator studio where we could do some laser etching, we can do 3D printing, we can do all sorts of different things, and highly recommend it. That's why we were there, but we also got some video. Little secret. You can run errands as well as making videos at the same time, so kind of cool. But from there we headed out to TPK, which if this here is the library, TPK or the Betplex is up here in this area. This area used to be a cornfield when I first moved here, but since then it has really become quite the impending place as it is being built like crazy. The Betplex And then over here, which looks like an empty field, is the Iron T, which is where we started our video to talk about the Iron T, but the Bettplex was the main starter as to why everything is there in the first place. And some of these neighborhoods, I believe we put a neighborhood on here down by Hopewell, so really cool place to be. And then finally, the last thing we talked about in that video was the downtown Bettendorf, because we had two big growth areas in Bettendorf. The Bettplex is one of them, but the other one is more of a revitalization, and that is downtown Bettendorf. And we talked about downtown Bettendorf quite a bit, as it is one of the main places that it is growing. The reason it's growing is really this I-74 bridge was built, and they're really trying to make it a place and a destination for people to stay and be. And the big thing that we talked about was the bridges, which is located right here. And we finished that video located off of this balcony, overlooking the river, overlooking the I-74 bridge, and it was amazing. I got a nice, cool little spot up there that I was invited to, so it was very, very cool. Now, we went some other places, and if you're curious what those look like, you're gonna wanna subscribe, because we might be touring those places again or providing some videos for that here in the future. I hope this helped show you where we went, what we did, and how to get from place to place. And if you are moving here, it's important to understand where to go and where to be. And if that's you, give me a call, send me a text. I am the one that answers all those phone calls, emails, and text messages. But if you're curious what that video of the vlog looked like, well, that video is gonna be right here.